Hello and welcome to Social Dragonfly Spiritual. So this is, depending on where you're listening here, if you're on BitChute, or if you're on YouTube, if you are on, Spreaker, welcome to the Social Dragonfly podcast. Wherever the hell you're listening from, welcome. All right. I am glad to have you here. So today I'm going to talk about Jesus, the inner Christ, the Christ within. And I'm going to talk about ending this madness that we have going on here. Okay? I'm going to talk about the only fucking way that this will ever end. I actually was going to put out at one point, I was planning on, and I did a lot of work too. I mean, there's so much information that I gathered on this whole pandemic thing to try to explain to people, to really help people see the truth of this, that this is all a crock of shit. But I realized waking people up and giving them the facts does not, I just said waking people up and 1:11 went by on the timer. Isn't that interesting? Waking people up isn't worth a damn anymore. Like, people are only going to wake up if they want to. Okay? So, to be quite honest with you guys, I just took all of my research that I had. I mean, I had Word documents and links and all of this shit saved up, and I was going to do, videos and all, but there's enough people out there doing that. And if you don't understand that this is horse shit, I cannot fucking help you. So, what I'm about to tell you probably won't be for you. So this is a fucking disclaimer. If you are dead ass asleep and you want to stay that way, okay, and you're okay with being forced to do things, being forced to fucking not be able to have a funeral or a graduation, okay, if you're afraid of getting sick, let me just say this, if you're afraid of getting sick, if you're living in fear, if you're taking all of your news, if you're getting all your news from the mainstream media, just go somewhere else. I don't want to hear your horse shit, all right? I just don't. This podcast, this channel, this wherever the fuck you're joining me from, it is not for you, all right? So let's get that the hell out of the fucking way. Yes, I'm about to talk about Jesus. Yes, I say a lot of cuss words. Just a disclaimer. You don't need to motherfucking tell me if this ain't for you, it ain't for you, boo-boo. Bye. Okay, so now that we got that out the way, let's get down to it. Let's talk about the only real way that we're ever going to end any of this madness, okay? There's a whole bunch of stuff going on where people are waking up to the fact that our governments, our, the Hollywood establishment and the elite and all of that, they're sickos, they're involved in a lot of things that are disgusting. There's the big P word, okay? And I don't even know if I want to say it, just because if this is on YouTube, then the algorithm will flag it. And this isn't about all of the nasty shit that the satanic elite does, okay? This is not about that. This is about you. This is about you and who you really are, because you can sit here and point the finger, and I could sit here and point the finger and blame everybody else for shit, but that's not going to help anything. I could sit here and tell you, fuck you, you stupid sheeple, you're sleeping sheeple, you're the reason why that, all of this is happening because you won't stand up and wake the fuck up. I mean, but that doesn't do anything, okay? Everybody needs to, really listen to what Michael Jackson said when he said he was starting with the man in the mirror. That's what you need to do. That's what I need to do, okay? It all starts with us working on us as individuals. So this is for this podcast, this video, this wherever the hell you listening to this shit, okay? If you're on BitChute, shout out to BitChute. They don't fucking censor anything. I love my BitChute community. I just started recently with that. I pay for a little membership. I love it because I know nothing's going to be taken down. But just for the sake of this, I'm recording on multiple devices. And I am doing this on Spreaker as well, so I'm not going to say certain things. But yes, shout out to my BitChute people. I actually heard about BitChute from my other truthers. Word up to all my other truthers, like Richie from Boston and, Nicholson 1968 and all that stuff. These people, or Days of Noah. That's another good one too, man. These people are doing a magnificent job of putting the facts out there for you guys. So to be quite honest, if you don't get it by now, I mean, I could tell you where to go. Like I just said, go look at those things. If you don't get it by now, that ain't my fault, and it ain't my responsibility to wake your ass up. Okay. If you like to be rocked to sleep, then that's cool. Go on with it. You can go ahead and be sleeping. But this is for my people who want to understand more about themselves on the inside. Okay. And a lot of those people that I named, those channels and stuff, they're Christians, and there's nothing wrong with being a Christian. Okay. But what I'm about to tell you, this perspective of Jesus and stuff like that, is not a popular perspective, especially in the Christian community, because what I'm doing is I'm combining, I guess you could say, some of like the Eastern way, the Eastern understanding of like from the energetic perspective with some like scripture and stuff like that, because it's a different perspective than what you would get from the typical Christian point of view, where you're only like where the Bible is the only text that you've ever read. Okay. So let's talk about ending this madness, and it's possible to end this madness, but it's going to take every single person going within themselves and awakening that Christ within. Okay. So let me just start off by saying I did a podcast when I very first started about Jesus. Let's talk about Jesus or whatever. And I used to say that Jesus was an energy that you invite in, right? Because that's usually what the general gist of it is with Christianity, is like you ask Jesus to come into your heart. Okay. I'm here to tell you today, this whole podcast is literally about, this whole video is literally about the fact that it is not an energy that's outside of you that you invite in. Okay. I'm gonna be the first to say, anytime that I find out new information that makes me change my perspective and change something about how I think about something, I'll be the first to tell you, hey, I was wrong. I think it's actually like this. And I'm gonna tell you, I was wrong when I said that Christ is, an energy that you invite in from outside of yourself. No. Okay. It's an energy that is within you, that you awaken within yourself. That's always been there, but you just have to awaken it within yourself. Okay. So that's how we're going to end this madness. I'm going to tell you today how we can end this madness in this world today. All right. What part can you do? Because that's usually what people are talking about now. They're like, everybody's freaking out. Oh my God, we got all these pedos and all this shit going on, and Wayfair and all this crap, and it's like, it's terrible, it really is. But what can you do about it? And like partly, I mean, it makes me angry too. It makes me want to grab makes me want to round up all my folks that I know, grab our pitchforks and our whatever the fuck we got, and start going and getting pissed off and trying to riot or something. But really, what good would that do? The best thing that we can all do is start with ourselves and see how we can change ourselves, okay? Because once we do that, if everybody did that, this whole world would be different, okay? So basically, I want to start with this. If you've never heard of what chakras are, if you've never heard of what these energy centers are, everyone pretty much has them. Everyone has them, okay? For the beginners here, let's just reference that picture. Like, whenever I think of chakras, I always think of that, like a picture in my mind of like someone meditating, sitting, crisscross applesauce, and they've got the circles that start at the base of the spine, and it starts with red, and it goes orange, yellow, green, blue, and you know what I'm saying? You got all of those colors, and it goes up the spine. All right. Imagine that in your head. Now, each one of those circles, there's more chakras than just what those are depicting in that picture that I'm trying to give you in your mind right now. But let's just, for beginner's sake, let's just start with that. Technically, there's like little bitty chakras, or nadis. They call them nadis, like on the ends of your fingers and stuff, It's just energy centers. So let's talk about those. Okay. Jesus actually himself, he had the education from like the Eastern way of learning things with spirituality and stuff like that, and he had the traditional way. So he kind of knew things from both sides. So that's kind of the reason why he understood what he understood. That's not every reason why, but yeah. So basically what we have here, and the reason why we have individuals who are acting the way that they're acting, people who are triggered real easily emotionally, people who they only care about sex and they only care about, excuse my allergies, y'all. I know that's gross, but I ain't sick or nothing. It's just this fucking dust plume or whatever that came across the ocean. But you got people that are, very impulsive. They only care about money. You got people that are very driven by lust, okay? Very deceitful people, very egotistical people, very selfish, If you can see those people energetically, they're operating out of the red, the root chakra, okay, the orange, the sacral chakra, and sometimes, the solar plexus. Sometimes people don't even have that operating at all, that solar plexus chakra. This is really what's causing them to have such a carnal mindset, all right? And, most people today, their consciousness stops expanding because once they get to that point, they get to the yellow, they get to the solar plexus, they never really get out of that ego polarity, okay, which is like the duality, all right, which is the back and forth, the good and evil, they never get out of that, all right, and that right there is exactly what we need for people to stop doing. We need people to balance out these energy centers, okay? And that can only be done by them recognizing and admitting. First of all, that can only be done by them admitting that they need to do that. They got to recognize themselves and become aware of themselves. The majority of people walking around today are not fucking aware of themselves at fucking all. And whenever you have someone that is very operating out of their lower chakras like that, they're really easy to fucking control. They're really easy to make fearful. They're really easy to intimidate. They're easy to control. So that's usually what's happening, all right? People are operating out of their lower chakras. So usually they get stuck at the solar plexus, which is the yellow one, the third one, okay? Like I said, they get stuck in the ego polarity mindset. They don't ever balance their ego because the ego is not necessarily always a negative thing. Okay. You kind of need your ego. You do. You need a healthy ego. All right. And whenever you get to go ahead and do your own research. All right. On the chakras. Okay. The chakra systems. That's going to be very beneficial for you if you don't know already. But most of the time in the spiritual community, people know what the hell I'm talking about. But just for the sake of people that don't know, I'll just tell you, you got your root chakra. That's where, your sense of security, your safety, your groundedness comes from, your stability. Okay. Like people who are very stable and grounded. They have what they need. Survival, okay, is that survival energy, the red chakra, the root chakra. Then you got your sacral chakra, which is your sexual energy, your creative energy. It's also your center for emotions. So we have that too, okay. And then you have your solar plexus, which is your willpower. It is your get up and go, right? You're taking action, your self-esteem. That's where your ego resides, okay? A lot of people say that's the seat of the soul and all of that, all right? So now that we know that, honestly, like I said, people stop at the solar plexus for the most part. They never really connect to their heart space. They never really get past balancing, the majority of people. I know a lot of people who have, but we're talking about the sleeping sheeple, okay? They don't really understand their own personal power, okay? And that yellow, that solar plexus chakra, the color coding helps for a lot of people. But the yellow, the solar plexus chakra, that right there is your own personal power, okay? And if you're going to awaken your Christ within, you have to be in touch with your own personal power, all right? That's where the inner Christ is really, that's where I see that. The most part is in the solar plexus. But to have the inner Christ be fully awakened within you, you need to be able to connect that to your heart chakra as well. Because Christ consciousness, a lot of people know that as, the unconditional love and all of that, right? That's kind of where we're trying to be headed here. That's where we're headed here, as far as if you are going to raise your vibrational frequency enough to exist in the 5D, right? Because it's not a place, it is a state of being, right? That's very important. A lot of people in the spiritual community don't necessarily, it's like the journey to the 5D. It's like they think they're going to pack their bags and go somewhere. And it's just not like that. Like, it's a state of consciousness. You can exist in the 5D and in the 3D at the same time simultaneously, but, be able to have your flesh body, you know what I'm saying? But it's about your consciousness. So, but if you never get past the solar plexus and you stop there and you never balance it, then you don't reach the heart and you don't balance the heart. You don't connect your personal power, your free will to your unconditional love, to your heart center, okay? And you're not going to be able to do what Jesus did. And each and every person has the ability to do that. He said, greater things than I, ye shall do. Okay? Greater things than I, ye shall do. Okay? So, essentially, we need to understand that Christ is, right, an interdimensional being. Okay? Which you are too. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. All right? Your meat suit, if I'm a reference Supernatural, if any of y'all ever watched that, I used to watch that. Your meat suit essentially is not what you are. Okay, a lot of people do not realize that, and if you're sitting here feeding yourself and with mainstream media and shit like that, you're not gonna know that. Anybody who knows that they're a spiritual being having a human experience and understands what that type of fear-based bullshit does to your energy, they're not going to be watching the mainstream media. I ain't watched the news in about 5 years, literally. And seriously, guys, like, if you turn off the fucking TV, I don't watch TV and I don't really listen to a lot of like mainstream music. I used to. I love all kinds of music. I used to, but it, basically it just started affecting me in a way where I started to notice that I was much more sensitive to it. So I stopped, I'm making a note for another idea for what I'm going to do later. I stopped listening to all that because I was really, I started to become very conscious about what I was consuming. All right. Because whenever you watch TV and all that stuff, you are consuming it. You are putting that into your energy body, your energy. So, Christ was and is an interdimensional being. So are you. You have the ability to exist in multiple dimensions at one time. Okay? And different dimensions are not necessarily different places. They're different bands of frequency. Okay? If you don't know who David Icke is, look him up. He will explain to you quite perfectly about how perception for anybody is based on the information received, and about how this reality is about the information, that it's an information field, all right? And also DNA, what DNA is, and that's about holding information. So DNA, that brings me to Jesus also he was a fully activated being. He had all 12 strands of his DNA activated. If you are someone who believes that you have junk DNA, that's a bunch of bullshit. I'm here to tell you today that is a bunch of fucking horse shit, okay? They want you to believe that, essentially, you could store information in DNA and all of that. DNA in itself is a huge topic. But he had all 12 strands of DNA activated. So, I want to talk about how, now that we're learning this, right? Everybody has the ability to do what Jesus did. Everyone has the ability to command the elements to, multiply the fish like he did in the loaves of bread. Okay. Some people are like, no, with the laws of physics. And well, once you get to a certain point and you're in the 5D, manifestation doesn't work the same way as it does down here in the 3D, boo-boo. I got to tell you that. Okay. So, yes, I do believe that he really did do that and multiplied fish and did all of that stuff because he had a different, first of all, he was operating in a different state of consciousness than what the people around him were, okay? If you don't believe that you can do something, you ain't gonna motherfucking do it. If you don't believe that you can do it, you're not gonna do it. Now, I'm not telling you to believe that you can fly and go jump off the fucking Empire State Building, okay? Don't be a dumbass, all right? but just open up your mind to the thought and the idea that you can do these things. Okay, and maybe I'll talk about manifestation and how different it is, like in the 5D, okay, or whatever at a different time. But right now, I just kind of want to put it out here so that people can understand what they're really capable of. Because a lot of the times when you have like Christians or whatever, and you say, ye are gods. Well, the word does say that. The scripture does say that. And there are other texts that pretty much explain just that as well. Then you have Christians that are saying, oh, blasphemy. You said you're gods. Well, essentially you are. We are God's source split up into a bunch of different pieces experiencing itself. That's what we are. Okay. And, Jesus spoke in code and in parables and all of that because, he kind of had to. You even have like Gnostics and stuff like that, they knew the real truth. They had the gnosis, right? They knew the truth about what we are and what we are able to do, okay? And a lot of that was challenged by people who were overrun by parasitic entities because the parasitic entities, they cannot create. They're not able to be co-creators or creators like we are. They can take something else that's already created and they can distort it and they can change it and distort it or invert it or flip it or whatever, but they are not able to create like we are. They're not able to create like we are. So, that's the reason why they have to feed off of our energy when we can be creative and have that source energy coming from within us and renewing from within us. And I'm seeing the Ace of Cups right now. So essentially, I kind of got off the topic here, but let's look at Mark chapter 4, okay? And I'm going to start right here at verse 35. Because here, I'm going to talk about, let me see if I can get here real quick. And I am on my tablet and two phones at the same time because I'm recording for different platforms. So this is essentially, we're talking about the point is here, we're talking about the part in scripture, okay, like I said, Mark chapter 4, verse 35, basically verse 35 through 41, where, Jesus is on this boat, right? He's on this boat, he was teaching, and everything, and he gets on this boat, and then there's a giant storm that comes, all right, and then the boat's rocking all over the place or whatever, and, I think the boat like started filling up with water or something. I'm about to read it. Let's see, and the same day, it says verse 35 here, and the same day, when the even was come, he saith unto them, let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship. And there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, and so that it was now full. Okay, yes. So there was water within the ship, and, they were worried about sinking the fucking ship, right? Verse 38, and I'm reading from the King James Version. Let's see. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow. Jesus was sleeping during the storm, right? And that's very important. Asleep. What did I just say earlier about the sleeping sheeple, right? The sleeping people. He was asleep, right? Okay. And they awake him and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? And they feared exceedingly, and said one to another, What manner of man is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him? Okay, so let's stop there. Because this is my point, people. This is my point. The Bible is full of a lot of symbols. Okay? The Bible is full of a lot of symbols, and we all know this. Okay? Most of us do. I'm sorry if you don't, and you take it all literally. I don't know what to tell you then. I'm here to tell you it's full of a lot of symbols, okay? Jesus spoke in parables, all right? So let's look at what this means. To me, when I read this is telling me that, first of all, Jesus was asleep, okay? He was asleep. So I can compare that to, he's asleep. He's not aware of the storm because he was sleeping, okay? So a lot of the people that are not awakened, they're asleep. They're not aware of what's going on. But what did Jesus do when he, quote, woke up, unquote? What did he do when he woke up? He rebuked the wind and he calmed the storm. He spoke with his words, peace, be still. Okay? And basically, the wind and the sea obeyed him because he was operating out of that power that lied within him, that was existing within him in his solar plexus. His solar plexus chakra. So if you could see him energetically at that point in time, you could see his solar plexus chakra, more than likely, okay, being activated at that time when he woke up. And he was using his personal power, okay, to calm the storm. Okay? And, we already know in other places in the Bible that Jesus already said, greater things than I ye shall do. You are capable of this. You are capable of the same thing. So what's my point here? My point here is what's going to happen is when people finally start to wake up, when the sleeping sheeple, I hate to keep saying that. Somebody going to get pissed off at me, but I don't give a fuck. I'm making my point, okay? When the sleeping people, when the sleeping sheep wake up to what's going on, when they start to understand what's going on, then they will calm the storm. They will calm the storm. Everyone will figure out what's going on, but everyone doesn't really get what's going on right now, and it's going to take a little while for people to get it. And I know there are a lot of people out there who are awake to this, and they have calmed their own storm. They have that solar plexus chakra. They are within their personal power. Okay, they have balanced and healed their ego. They're out of that ego polarity. All right, and they've allowed that kundalini energy to travel up from the solar plexus, okay, into the heart chakra. So they're in that 5D. They're in that, and the 5D, the fifth dimension, is a long dimension. That's probably what the 1,000 years of Christ will be, because we'll be there for a while. Because the 5D, if you look at it in the hertz frequencies, I forget what it is exactly, but the fifth dimension is a pretty long dimension, meaning it's like a big gap between whatever frequency where it begins and where it ends. So I don't know why I got into that, but look it up. Look up, start looking at the Schumann resonance and stuff like that. The Schumann resonance frequency has been steadily rising. It's not going down anymore. Like I remember at the beginning of 2019 or whatever, what the baseline Schumann resonance frequency was, and it's way higher than that now. The baseline, we've been sitting at much higher of a frequency, and that's because the Earth, right, Gaia, the Earth, the frequency of the Earth. I mean, we're inhabiting the Earth, right? So like when that is raising, the baseline is raising, it's going to affect us too. So it's like the Earth is waking up and growing, growing and changing the same as we are. So it's kind of a rough thing for a lot of people to go through, but once people understand what's really going on and they see the storm that's happening, they see the corruption, they see the disgusting fucking things that the parasitic entities are doing, which you need to understand what parasitic entities are too, okay? That's a whole nother conversation. Go to Lotus Tarot 444, okay? She put out a 4-part series on what parasitic entities are. Magnificent. You couldn't have explained it any better, okay? I couldn't have explained it any better than her. She is so intelligent. I love the shit out of her. Go look at Lotus Tarot. Is it Lotus Love Tarot? I think it's Lotus Tarot 444. Okay. She did it with Spreaker. So it's like a little 4-part, I think they're like 15 minutes each. Okay. 4-part series on parasitic entities. Perfect. She actually explains in her little podcast thing that she did that the people that are leading our world right now are completely overwhelmed in their chakra systems with parasites. With parasitic entities. So they're actually acting in a way where they are doing things like, drinking blood of children and whatever else, and all the sexual abuse and all of that, okay? And the sacrifices and all this stuff. This storm has been going on, but most of humanity has been asleep in the boat this whole time. So, and everybody that has newly figured it out, that knows what's going on, they're looking at the people that are sleeping in the boat going, what the fuck is wrong with you? What are we going to do? We got to do something. Oh, like freaking out, And it's like, but when the Christ within awakens, and wakes up within everyone, we will realize that we have had the power all along. We have the co-creative power. We are the creators. We are what's going to stop this. Okay? So that's kind of my point. That is the solution to all of this. And I know people are like, yo, yeah, okay, whatever, Eddie. That's my name, right? I don't know if y'all know this. Whatever, Eddie. Like, what are we supposed to do? I'm a mom. I have a life. I have bills. Or I'm a family man, and I have a job. And I know you do. And I love you for your humanity. And I felt that same pressure too. And lots of people are still feeling that because they are existing and feeling that unity consciousness and existing within that realm, that dimension. And they have awakened their solar plexus and balanced that and got out of the ego polarity and allowed themselves to have their heart chakra awoken, and then want to have compassion and want to heal this, but other people have to decide to do it for themselves. Okay. So the storm is symbolizing all the crazy fucking shit going on in the world. And essentially, we all need our Christ within to awaken. Okay? We all have it in us. Like I said, solar plexus, heart chakra, and of course, Christ himself had, he was, like I said, he was a fully integrated, interdimensional being with all 12 strands of DNA activated. He had, he had his crown chakra wide open, all of the chakras, you know what I'm saying? Probably even more than that. I forget what it's called, the one after that. Soul star chakra, all that, you know what I'm saying? The picture that's depicted of him and a lot of the other people in the paintings and stuff, they have that like halo thing around them. That's like crown chakra right there, crown chakra energy. Okay, connected to the divine. He had that connection to the Father, like he was saying. Okay, so then you get into let's see, 35 through 41. Let's see, that's where I was at, right? 41. Then I actually went to the beginning of the chapter here, where Jesus is talking about, he's teaching by the seaside, okay? And a great multitude had gathered. I'll just go ahead and read it. So I'll start at Mark chapter 4. So, and he began again to teach by the seaside. So this is before he was in the boat, right? And there was gathered unto him a great multitude, so that he entered into a ship and sat in the sea. And the whole multitude was by the sea on the land. And he taught them many things by parables, and said unto them in his doctrine, Hearken, behold, there went out a sower to sow. There he is, speaking in parables, okay? And it came to pass, as he sowed, some fell by the wayside, and the fowls of the air came in and devoured it up. And some fell on the stony ground, where it had not much earth, and immediately it sprang up, because it had no depth of earth. But when the sun was up, it was scorched, and because it had no root, it withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it, and it yielded no fruit. And other fell on the ground, and did yield fruit, that sprung up and increased, and brought forth some 30, and some 60, and some 100. And he said unto them, He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. And when he was alone, they that were about him with the 12 asked of him the parable. And he said unto them, Unto you it is given to know the mystery of the kingdom of God. But unto them that are without all these things are done in parables, that seeing they may see, and not perceive, and hearing they may hear, and not understand, lest at any time they should be converted, and their sins should be forgiven them. And he said unto them, Know ye not this parable? And how then will ye know all parables? The sower soweth the word. And these are they by the wayside, where the word is sown. But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately, and taketh away the word that was sown in their hearts. And these are they likewise, which are sown on stony ground, who, when they have heard the word, immediately receive it with gladness, and have no root in themselves, and so endure but for a time afterward. And when affliction or persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. Let's stop there, okay? I'm stopping at verse 17, okay? Mark chapter 4, I read all the way through verse 17. Let's talk about this, okay? And have no root in themselves, all right? Whenever you get the truth given to you in the form of a little tiny seed, if you keep thinking that you have to look outside of yourself to find the answer, to find the remedy, to find the truth, to find this, you got to worship something outside of you. You got to do something outside of you. You got to go and pay somebody and put money in a fucking plate, okay? Just to be able to get a word from God. That's how it was when I went to church. Everybody always wanted somebody else to pray and wanted somebody else to... No, I had more spiritual growth when I left the damn church than I ever did, because I listened to my inner Christ. I actually awakened my inner Christ. And there ain't nothing wrong if you got a community and you want to go to church. I loved my church family, there's nothing wrong with that. If you want to, have fellowship and all that stuff, there ain't nothing wrong with that. But if you are looking outside of yourself for God, you are never going to find it. You are never going to find it. If you are looking outside yourself for God, if you don't have no root within yourselves, you're never going to find it. Okay? So, and then also you got here, and when affliction or persecution ariseth for the word's sake, immediately they are offended. Let's talk about that, being offended and shit too. If you stuck and you're not able to, if you're not able to get past that solar plexus energy, you're going to be offended by everything too. And a lot of church people are offended by what I'm saying, but I don't give a fuck, and I'm myself, and I'm going to put it out there just in case somebody else wants to know, This is what I've learned. This is why I'm a life path 7, okay? Everything is spiritual for me. So this is what I was meant to do. I got a grand fire trine in my chart too. So, and that speaks of potential. I know that a trine like that in a chart, it don't mean you're a healer and all this. It don't mean that. It means you have potential to be, and it takes a lot of work and stuff like that. So that's what I'm doing. This is me putting my information out here that I know from the work that I've done on myself. So if you want to take it, then cool. If you don't, then don't, but this is for the motherfuckers that want the words, okay? That want that seed. All right. So then verse 18 says, and these are they which are sown among thorns, such as hear the word. Verse 19, and the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches and the lusts of other things entering in choke the word, and it becometh unfruitful. There's them thorns right there, okay? Whenever you're talking about the lower chakras, the lower energy centers, that's exactly what will choke out the word, okay? That's exactly what will choke it out. If you're thinking too much, you need to be rooted within yourself, and you need to have roots that go deep into the core of Gaia, right? You need to have that. You need to be grounded, okay? And you need to have a good grip on the fleshly side of yourself. But if that's all you're seeing, then that seed is never going to sprout within you and grow, and you're never going to have that sprout, that kundalini energy. If you don't know what that is, I keep saying that. Go on and look that up. Okay, everybody got Google and shit like that. Not that Google can be trusted, because they're all owned by the wicked parasitic entity infested motherfuckers. But y'all know what I'm saying, okay? Look it up. If you are not able to, you need a good balance of both, okay? You need a good balance of knowing your own roots and being grounded within your own self, your physical earthly self, and having awareness of that. And then you also need to have a pretty good knowledge and handle on, the cosmic energies and your own cosmic energies. You need to have that balanced. And it takes work to maintain that balance, okay? I know that shit. I have to rebalance myself quite often. So verse 19, when it talks about the cares of this world and the deceitfulness of riches and the lusts of other things entering in, choke the word and it becometh unfruitful. So that unfruitfulness, the lack of the Christ within being awakened, that not being awakened, that's because people are operating out of the red, orange, and the yellow, and they're not those lower energy centers. That's that deceitfulness of riches. That's that greed. That's the cares of the world, okay? Verse 20, and these are they which are sown on good ground, such as hear the word and receive it and bring forth fruit, some 30-fold, some 60, and some 100. And he said unto them, is a candle brought to be put under a bushel or under a bed, and not to be set on a candlestick? So, that passionate fire within you, that your own personal light can be snuffed out if you're believing the whole Old Testament Jehovah, let there be no other gods before me type of thing. Let me break it down for you, okay? I just realized within the past year that Yahweh, okay? Yahweh, Jehovah, that's not who you want to be worshiping, all right? Jehovah, the God of the Old Testament, that was angry and wanted to kill everybody and wanted to kill children and was angry and gave the 10 Commandments to Moses. That's not if you're worshiping that God, I hate to break it to y'all, but if you're worshiping Jehovah or Yahweh, you're worshiping the king of the archontic parasites. You need to read the Nag Hammadi. You need to read those texts, okay? Because if you don't, and I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just saying, if you want to understand this, then you're going to need to. Don't take my fucking word for it. Don't, please. This is your journey, this is my journey that I'm sharing, but your journey is for you, and if you want to awaken the Christ within, you need to understand that you cannot be giving your personal power away to a parasite. And that's essentially what Jehovah is. Okay, if you listen to Lotus Tarot 444, that wonderful podcast that she did, and you could tell she spoke very eloquently. She did a lot of hard work and research and typed it all up. And you could tell she typed it all up when she said it. Mine, I took a few notes and I'm winging this motherfucker. Okay? She's very professional. She explains it she explains how whenever she does work for her clients, she does do some like witchcraft and shit like that, spells or whatever the fuck. And she also does healing. Okay? And whenever somebody has a really bad parasitic entity infection, all right, she talked about how you have to call in a darker, higher, more powerful, darker energy that can be the boss of that parasite to get that parasite to leave. Okay? Let me take y'all into a little, I just thought about this, so I know Spirit wants me to tell y'all this. If you think about when Jesus commanded the many demons, the legion, where it says, we are legion, for we are many. Our name, he asked for the name, right? Jesus asked for the name of the demon. He said, well, our name is legion, for we are many. That's what the demon said. Okay. And then what did Jesus do? Right? Because they said, Master, have you come to torment us before our time? Right? Jesus actually sent those entities into the pigs, the swine, and then sent them down into the water, or they ran into the water, right? Most people don't know that water spirits and all of that, they had their base, okay, where they report to their boss is underwater. But that's a whole nother thing. That's the reason why they went underwater, because that God specifically likes the sacrifice of pigs. But anyway, when Jesus did that, Jesus wasn't able to command. A lot of people will argue with me on this and say, well, Jesus was given all the power and... Well, you got that power too, but when you need to learn about oil beings and salt beings, okay? Demons, or the lower vibing entities being the salt beings, and then the angels and the higher vibing beings being the oil beings, okay? And whenever you're in a flesh body like us, when you're human and you're trying to get rid of a salt being like that, you got to call in a more powerful salt being to get rid of that, okay? AKA, you have to call in a higher, darker power. Okay. So my whole point of this is Jesus technically, I think it says it in a text, man. I need to look that up. He called in Azazel, and he told Azazel to tell them to get in those pigs and go in the water. Okay. So my whole point of this is, Lotus Tarot 444, she was talking about how she's had clients come in and she's trying to cleanse them of these parasitic entities. They got a really bad parasitic entity infection. Okay. And she said that she realized that the more focus that she put on these parasitic entities, where she tried to deal with them with light, trying to surround them with light and send light and blast them with light, it didn't fucking work. Because once they get to a certain level of power, you got to call in their boss. And who is the boss of these parasitic entities, these demons or daemons, whatever you want to call them? Different people have different opinions on that with the older text, how far back it goes and all that bullshit. But who is that boss? Jehovah. Jehovah is Satan. Okay. So that's how she does that. She says that she has to call in, and of course she gets the permission of the client and all of that stuff, because not everybody wants to work with that satanic energy. But go listen to that podcast for yourself. It is true. It is true. All right. And Jesus did it then whenever he cast the legion into the swine. He had to talk to Azazel, because Azazel was their boss. Okay. And Azazel, he told Azazel that what he wanted to do and where he wanted to send him, and Azazel helped him out. So essentially, I don't know what got me on that, but somebody needed to hear that. But that's my point here. Where was I at? Yeah. So that's the point. Where it was talking about, is a candle brought to be put under a bushel or under a bed, and not to be set on a candlestick? You need to be able to let that light shine within yourself. And any time that you are, looking outside of yourself, okay, and I know that may contradict a little bit with what I said, where you had to call in another higher, darker entity, but the point is, if you're bowing and giving your power away to another entity, you can work with darkness and light if you want to, and you have all the power that you need within you. You need the knowledge too, but you have the power that you need within you to get down to business and get done what you need to get done. But if you don't know what you're doing and you constantly think you have to ask somebody else, if you think you have to, oh God, please heal me. Oh God, can you please make this happen? Oh God, can you please make that happen? In the name of Jesus, and you're using the name of Jesus like a magic charm, you're not really understanding what you're doing, okay? Like I said, Jesus had an understanding of how things work, all right? And you only get that by exercising your power, by trying it. If you've never tried something, you're not going to know, okay? But you're never going to try it if you think that you can't do it, or if you think that you have to worship somebody else just to get something done. You ain't got to worship nobody to get nothing done. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't be wasting your time worshiping somebody else to get something like that done. You just need to educate yourself so that you can exercise that power in the right way to get it done, okay? And I'm learning too. I'm learning with y'all. But I just want y'all to know this. And then verse 22 says, for there is nothing hid which shall not be manifested, neither was anything kept secret, but that it should come abroad. If any man have ears to hear, let him hear. And he said unto them, take heed what ye hear. With what measure ye meet, it shall be measured to you. And unto you that hear shall more be given. And that's kind of what happened to me, I chose to look at things differently than most people. And then I started seeking out other people who really, were asking the same questions that I was asking. Okay, because something didn't feel right. The God that Jesus knew, right? They're the Father that Jesus knew, he was dwelling in unapproachable light, right? So when you talk about the Old Testament God, Jehovah, it just didn't seem right to me. It didn't seem right to me. Let's see. For he that hath, to him shall be given, and he that hath not, from him shall be taken, even that which he hath. Yeah, man, this is self-explanatory. All right. And he said, so is the kingdom of God, as if a man should cast seed into the ground. Verse 27, and should sleep and rise night and day, and the seed should spring and grow up. He knoweth not how. For the earth bringeth forth fruit of herself, first the blade, then the ear, after that the full corn in the ear. So basically, I talked about Jehovah a little bit. I'm like marking off my notes and stuff like that. I talked about the parasitic entities. And most people are operating out of their earthly carnal selves. So if you're allowing someone else's light to overpower yours, which it's not even light, but it's like power. Because that's essentially what Jehovah was, man. You try to look up like Enki and Enlil, that was really crucial for me. That was a turning point for me. And then reading the Nag Hammadi, like learning about the ancient Samaria and reading the Sumerian text, it really helped me understand that Jehovah was an egotistical being. But I'm not going to insult Jehovah just because, I might need to work with that motherfucker one day. And I thank him for, the lessons that I've learned. It's like, that's unity consciousness. It's like, I don't have to hate him, I can be thankful that I could call on him maybe one day and he could help me, maybe help someone else. You know what I'm saying? Like I could work with him to get something out of someone else. I don't know how to do that work. I would like to learn how to do that. I don't do like a lot of, I don't do like energy work and stuff like that for other people. I mainly do that stuff for myself. But when I was a Christian, I did start a lot with like the Dan Duvall with Bride Ministries. He actually, listening to Dan Duvall's podcast and stuff will help you understand a lot about, excuse me, it will help you understand a lot about, pretty much how the hierarchies work. But the one thing that he did that I never understood was he always charged his realm with the names of God in the Bible. You know, Jehovah Jireh, Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Shammah, Jehovah Nisi, Jehovah Sidkenu. I don't even know if I say that right. But Jehovah Makedesh, Jehovah Ra'ah, Jehovah Shalom, all of those names, he charges his realm, okay, which people are realms. He'll help you understand that. He'll help you really. He's a Christian, and he does kind of worship Jehovah. He doesn't understand what he's doing when he worships Jehovah, but he will if you listen to him. Like, I don't discount someone's work just because they have different spiritual views than me. I'm not going to talk shit about somebody's work just because they do something that I don't necessarily agree with, because I'm thankful for Dan Duvall's work. Like, he's helped me learn a whole heap of stuff, man. So, but people are realms, and he'll help you understand that concept. Most people, when you say that, they're like, what? People are realms, right? And he charges his realm, his own personal energy realm, with the names of God or Jehovah, all of those names I said. And he says he does that before spiritual warfare, and it gives him power. Well, no shit. I mean, if you're calling in the energy of the king of the archons before you go do spiritual warfare, you're going to have control of all the entities that he thinks are demons, which they are, or whatever, that he comes across. It makes sense. They're going to obey him, because he is embodying the energy of their boss, So it really just started to make sense to me once I started to figure all that out. So I just figured I would share this shit with y'all, because really, it just starts with you. It really does. It starts with you. Me changing my world around me starts with me. And really, when you heal yourself, when you become aware of yourself, when you awaken your Christ within you, it helps the collective, because you are part of the collective. I am the collective, and the collective is me. Okay? That's, unity consciousness. So we're on our way to that. And I hope this helps other people to understand that. That's the whole reason why I do what I do, guys. I don't do it for people to like me or hate me or whatever. I don't give a fuck what you think. I just do this because this is what I've been guided to do, to tell you guys, hey, this is what I figured out, guys. This is what I figured out. And if it helps you on your journey, then fucking awesome. I'm glad. So essentially, the last thing that I want to talk about is how I mentioned Jehovah, the parasitic entities, and all of that. I think I got it all. But the last thing I want to talk about is how you must have the roots within yourselves. You need to be deeply rooted within yourself. And that means knowing yourself. That means not giving your power away and constantly worshiping some god or something or some entity that's outside of you. It's realizing that you have the ability and the power and the natural creative ability to be able to change things. And it starts with you in your world. Okay? And once you combine that groundedness of your daily life as far as being a human with your cosmic energies, once you can balance that and you start to realize, what you're capable of, it's over for all these parasitic entities. Sorry, Jehovah. Like, it's over. It's over. It's going to be over. And that's whenever you're going to have the frequencies of the majority of people, once their inner Christ is awakened, these parasitic entities are not going to be able to exist anymore where we all are, They are not going to be able to feed off of us anymore once we have that inner Christ energy awakened within us. And that's the most important thing that I really just want to push, is that don't be archontic parasitic entity food, okay? They feed off your fear, your trauma, your pain, your drama, your and if you're constantly watching, like, here's another thing. This is the last thing I will fucking say. If you're constantly, like, if you know that, like, pedos exist, and if you know all of this nasty shit is going on, don't keep exposing yourself to it. It's not your job to wake other people up. They will figure it out eventually, okay? Once you know about this, start focusing on connecting your solar plexus and using your own personal power. Connect that to your heart chakra, and then go forth and make sure that you're speaking with your throat chakra. You're speaking truth, because what you speak, you will manifest, okay? What you speak, you will manifest. So make sure that you are balancing your heart chakra and then speaking from your throat chakra truths that will help you to co-create a better existence, a better reality. And don't worry about changing what somebody else's reality is. Don't worry about what somebody else is manifesting. Worry about what you're manifesting. It starts with you. It starts with you. Have faith that you are manifesting your own reality, okay? That's one of the realizations that a lot of people don't understand. They're like, how the fuck can I manifest something so terrible in my life? You know, if you're not aware and you're being fed on by parasitic entities, it's going to kind of be like a domino effect, and you're going to be manifesting all this terrible ass fucking shit, because you're going to be manifesting things that will give these parasitic entities food, okay? The parasitic entities will go away once you start to realize your power and you don't give them any more food, which means you're activating that heart chakra, okay? And you're combining it with the solar plexus and your heart and your throat with what you're speaking. You're no longer speaking death. You're speaking life. You know, you're no longer engaging in that. So I've just hit an hour. I just want to stop after this, but I just want to say thank you if you made it this far. Thank you so much if you enjoy what I'm doing, what I'm putting out there for you guys. I love you guys. I really hope that this helps someone awaken their inner Christ. Okay, that's the only way we're going to change this shit, guys. Do like Michael Jackson said he was going to do, and start with the man in the mirror. Okay? Because that's what it's going to take. I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Many blessings to you. Bye-bye.